Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your patience. We would like to start a joint press conference by NTT Corporation and Toyota Motor Corporation. Let me first introduce the speakers to you. From NTT Corporation, the Representative Director and President, Mr. Jun Sawada. And from Toyota Motor Corporation, Representative Director and President, Mr. Akio Toyoda. Now then, we would like to first of all call upon President Sawada to take the floor.
Thank you for a kind introduction. My name is Sawada. First and foremost, thank you for joining us despite the very difficult circumstances in relation to the novel coronavirus. Appreciate your participation. As far as we're concerned, Toyota and NTT, we are very excited about this Capital and Business Alliance. So let me share with you, talk about the thinking and the backdrop pertaining to NTT behind this alliance to begin with. So novel coronavirus has created very difficult circumstances, but there's one blessing in disguise. I think we have seen progress in telework or working from home. But having said that, for the workers to collaborate and having to work despite the isolation. If we are to pursue this, then we need innovation to further advance such remote work. So isolation and collaboration needs to be compatible. We need such a structure. That is our thinking. Similar examples can be seen in the environmental protection arena and also the question pertaining to growth or the environment. We can realize both and create a better society and community. That type of innovation is required. That, I believe, is our view. So when we take a look at this recent situation, even prior to this novel coronavirus situation, we have seen a situation pertaining to decoupling. So globalism, the distortion brought on by globalism is evident. We have also seen the rise of nationalism. For example, such and such first. We begin to shift to this type of various nationalisms. But what is required is paraconsistent philosophy that allows both to be achievable in parallel. So this type of new globalism is required, I believe. So let's apply this situation to Japan domestically. Right now, we are faced with various challenges such as changing demographics, aging, and declining birth rate, and also the weakening of the regional communities. We see various social challenges. So we want to create development for our country as well as for the world. We need to also create a livable and comfortable community. So we need to do this in parallel. That type of thinking is required. So as we go forward, we need to achieve the concept of smart city. We need to spread the concept of smart city. Around the world, Toyota Motor is tackling various challenges inclusive of autonomous drive. So the collaboration and partnership between NTT and Toyota Motor Company can create and build a foundation for the region, for the regional communities, and for the people at large. That, I believe, is the basic thinking behind our Business and Capital Alliance. As far as smart city is concerned, we have 8 requirements or factors that enable such a smart city. NTT is based on the concept of B2B2X model. In other words, we want to pursue a smart city project based on the B2B2X model, whereby we expand partnerships with various partners. So this, I believe, is also connected to Society 5.0, which Keidan and the national government is also pursuing. As far as the 8 elements are concerned, they are very broad-ranging, all the way from infrastructure up until the super layer of this society. Various factors are embraced, all the way from mobility to health, medicine. All these factors are embraced in these 8 elements. So NTT and Toyota, I believe Toyota is indeed the #1 company in terms of mobility around the world. And as far as NTT is concerned, we want to support Toyota's efforts to further spread this mobility concept. Already, cars are now entering a connected universe. In other words, things are connected. Smart cities that are based on this connectivity, and automobile is one element for this connectivity. And actually, ICT and software is the element that connects these connected cities. So as far as NTT is concerned, our smart city initiative in place such support Chiba, Las Vegas, Yokohama, Fukuoka, and also in places like Cyberjaya. And we're involved in such programs, and we are also involved in partner programs. We also have set up a CRA-based urban solution company for this purpose. And furthermore, using new renewables, we want to create new regional grids and also pursue well-being and also pursue regional revitalization. We are already involved in these initiatives and programs. But this partnership represents a new core. That is the backdrop of this new partnership. It is the core. So Toyota and NTT creating this partnership to create the social foundation for the smart city, working together to create the foundation. And this is going to be cascading from Higashi-Fuji all the way to the global community at large. This is going to be a long-term initiative and exercise. And that is my discussion with Mr. Akio Toyota. And so both sides will be investing 200 billion yen each for this initiative. And we have both companies have passed the resolution on this point. Now, as our smart city platform is concerned, this is the name of this new social foundation. This will continue to evolve. This platform will continue to evolve. And together with partners, and of course, the two companies are the core, but we want to invite various other partners to join this program and further spread this. And also, we also want to pursue partnerships with other cities and municipalities. And also, we want to make sure that we also have linkage and connectivity with the OS architecture of other government cities. We want to create such an environment. And technology factors that support this. From the technology side, there are 5 enablers. We have a project what is called ION. This is a future network concept. This will be all photonics network and digital twin computing, and so cognitive foundation. And the third will be the 5G technology. Next week, we will be launching 5G. This week, we'll be launching 5G services. And also direct current, and direct current grid, and renewables, and data management. As far as ION is concerned, we've already made an announcement about ION, or Innovative Optical and Wireless Network. 3 factors are involved. So one is transition from electronics to photonics, from digital to natural. We want to lead the way for this type of universe going forward. Now, as far as 5G is concerned, I will not delve deeply today, but this is technology that was this is a key service that will connect all these computer-related elements. And also, we are going on to 6G and also data management. This helps. This is simulation to grasp and analyze the flow of people. Toyota and NTT has already partnership in the autonomous drive arena as well. So in the woven city initiative, how can we visualize mobility? How can we digitalize and also manage that and try to predict the future and at the same time create a better society for the future? This is where these technology factors can be applied and utilized. And with regard to renewables, in principle, we want to have local production for local consumption. And we'll be employing direct current. We want to store energy. That is the initiative which we want to pursue. And also through virtual power plant, we want to deliver more greener power. That type of regional creation, that is what we want to attempt. Last but not least, this Capital Business Alliance, the basis of the Business Capital Alliance is human resources. On January 8th, Mr. Akio Toyota provided an in-house speech, and that speech can be observed on YouTube. I believe his speech was about 40 minutes, and actually I observed the speech as well by Mr. Toyota. And he had provided very valuable insight in the presentation. And these are all insights which all the managers should consider. I believe his speech really embraces all those factors which all managers should consider. It involves love and affection, and also contribution to public contribution, and also integrity, and vision, and aspiration, and also very sincere. I was totally moved by his speech, and that really was the foundation for this alliance. I really wanted to work with a company led by such a manager, by such a leader. By working and partnering with such a company, we can create a brighter future through smart city. So this triangle, you see people at the center. So connect, trust, and integrity. You see those shared values. With that, we are aspiring to be such a company. That is a picture from our midterm plan. And I believe the Business and Capital Alliance with Toyota will allow us to achieve this vision going forward. So toward the brighter future, we have expectation and much aspiration. That is my personal view. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you. Now, President Toyoda, please. President Sawada, thank you so very much. Greetings to all of you. I am Akio Toyoda. As you all know, with the advent of the CASE revolution, the automotive industry is entering an era in which the very essence of the automobile is undergoing change, and in which the goods and services that support people's lives will be connected by information. In other words, when thinking about our business, it's necessary to have in mind the concept of connected cities, in which we need to think about things from a broad, car-inclusive, community-wide and society-wide perspective, rather than viewing cars as a separate entity. Against such a backdrop, we have embarked on a new collaboration with NTT. So please allow me to explain the reasons for our alliance with NTT from the perspective of two changes that we are now facing. One change that Toyota itself must address is a change in how software is positioned in monozukuri, or manufacturing. In conventional product development, the basic approach has been to implement coupled development of hardware and software. However, with the speed of the evolution of software outpacing that of the evolution of hardware, exposed now is the coupled development problem of improvements in product performance and product value being susceptible to the limitations of slowly evolving hardware. In recent years, to secure a degree of development freedom and to improve product competitiveness, the concept of software first, in which hardware and software are separated and software is developed and put to use in advance, has been gaining wider acceptance. Smartphones are a successful example of this. Full-scale redesigns of smartphones have been timed to coincide with the introduction of new hardware technologies, such as the adoption of larger displays, the dawn of ultra-high-resolution organic electroluminescent displays, and the use of foldable screens. Yet, without waiting for such timing, operating systems and applications can expand the functions of smartphones through updates while using the same hardware. If we were to express this in terms of car making, complete redesigns would be when our customers replace their cars with new ones upon our updating the hardware and delivering value by doing so. And other improvements, such as partial redesigns, would be when we offer new functions and new value by updating the software, while owners continue to use the same hardware. Easy-to-understand examples of this can be found in advanced technologies such as advanced driving assist functions, for which software and data are key. By having the basic software first in place, we could collect real-life data to heighten the level of our AI and could then at some point add functions in the form of updates. And things such as this will become possible. I believe that becoming able to think of partial redesigns along the lines of software updates will enable Toyota to more fully apply the strength of its hardware. I believe there are three strengths to Toyota's hardware. One is durability, the soundness of our hardware. Next is parts availability, the ease of access to replacement parts. And finally, we have repairability, the ease of repair. If the software is always updated to the latest version and the hardware is used over a longer period of time, then these three strengths can be demonstrated even more to the fullest. And actually, it is the positive evaluation of these three strengths that has led MaaS operators, who are our collaborative partners, to choose Toyota vehicles. I believe that applying the strength of our hardware and adopting the thinking of software first will enable us to innovate Toyota car making to the next phase. Another major change necessary for Toyota's rebirth is one Toyota cannot address on its own, and that's the change in the role of the automobile itself. About 10 years ago at the 2011 Tokyo Motor Show, Toyota exhibited a concept vehicle called the Fun V. At that time, I said, this is the kind of car we came up with when we put 4 wheels on a smartphone. My thoughts were that, in addition to running, turning, and stopping, adding the function of connecting allows cars to give birth to new value. Then, 7 years later, at CES in January 2018, we unveiled the e-Palette. The e-Palette was a new attempt to see what will happen if software engineers at TRI and Toyota Connected made a car. Next, thinking that we needed rows on which the e-Palette could run, came the idea for the woven city. For Toyota, a woven city means changing by 180 degrees how we look at and think about the things around us. Shifting from the conventional notion of first there are cars and there are houses, let's connect them, to the notion of connecting cars and houses to the communities in which people live. I think that accomplishing this means greatly innovating how we work. And this is why Toyota is engaging in the creation of a city platform. Through the advance of connectivity and the advancement of IoT, cars will cease to be simply objects of personal ownership or means of getting around. They will become structural elements of the society itself. And the role that the automobile must fulfill is starting to change. For example, in times of emergency, cars will become emergency power sources, and through their sensors, they will provide society with useful information such as hazard maps. So various possibilities are now coming into being. Hence, this will result in the evolution of cars having a close relationship with the evolution of society. I believe that NTT is a partner who can best put to use cars that are incorporated into the societal system. That is because NTT's operations are directly connected to the creation of society. The various forms of infrastructure that construct society are supported by the information infrastructure that NTT provides. Expressing this in terms of the human body, I think that cars and houses are like muscles and bones, respectively, while communications are like veins through which flows the blood of information. Among such, NTT as the main artery supports blood circulation all the way to the capillaries, moving the entire body. In other words, NTT bears on its shoulders the foundation of the societal system. Making cars based on software first a reality and building the future of cars linked to the societal system of communities, and doing so on a corporate scale, is the complete redesign required to transform Toyota from being a company that makes cars to being a mobility company. That is to say, a company that provides all types of services related to mobility. When it comes to corporate groups undergoing complete redesigns, NTT is a pioneer. NTT has already decoupled hardware from software at a corporate scale. At first, telephone circuits used analog communications, and I hear switching of signals was done by switching equipment that used mechanical connections. Later, along with the digitalization of communication, such switching equipment was replaced by routers, and software came to be used to control communications. Furthermore, the cell phone led to a society in which people could connect anywhere, regardless of where they were, and then communications went beyond the simple function of telephone calls to become a platform for giving birth to new data services and businesses. NTT implemented a complete redesign to transform the hardware-based business structure of its entire corporate group into one based on software. It constructed platforms for telecommunications and information processing, such as NTT Communications and NTT Data. Furthermore, it established a company responsible for its software operations and, as an integrated information telecommunications company, engaged in a broad spectrum of activities, including the provision of data services and solutions. NTT has endeavored to accelerate innovation. Currently, NTT is leading the world in verification trials and in advanced research related to the creation of communities of the future, such as through efforts related to smart cities, its ION concept, and others. For Toyota to respond to the two changes I mentioned, the change in how software is positioned and the change in the role of the automobile, and completely redesign itself into a mobility company, our alliance with NTT is essential and, in a way, kind of inevitable. And I think we will continue to search for additional friends. At the base of our alliance is having an open mind. Wanting to make the future brighter together with many friends is an aspiration shared by both our companies. Finally, I would like to talk about my own thoughts, which are at the foundation of this alliance. Please have a look at this graph. If we look at expenditure per household during the 30 years of the Heisei era, we will see that while total expenditures did not increase, spending on transportation and telecommunications increased from 10% 30 years ago to 15%. Although in a survey of family budgets, transportation and telecommunications somehow handily fall into the same category, compared to the Japanese automobile market, which peaked during the period covered, spending on telecommunications greatly increased. This means that people consider telecommunications to be more essential for them than automobiles. In other words, telecommunications leads to people's happiness. I believe it was once the automobile that was responsible for fulfilling that role. Looking at this graph made me keenly feel that automobiles have to give it another earnest effort, and that if automobiles are a key Japanese industry and a growth industry, then they must become more of a presence that brings people happiness. Please have a look at this cone-shaped figure. This is taken from a book published by Toyota Motor Company in 1955 entitled Toyota. In it, together with the label "What is Toyota?" appeared this cone-shaped figure. At the top is the last wishes of Sakichi Toyoda, which refers to the Toyota precepts. Among those precepts is the spirit of being contributive to the development and welfare of the country. From the time of successfully undergoing a complete redesign from a loom manufacturer to an automobile manufacturer and continuing all the way to the present, at the foundation of Toyota is a strong desire to contribute to the prosperity of society and one's country. Creating the society of the future requires much energy. In this period of profound transformation, in which it's difficult to see what lies ahead and where there are no right answers, I believe it is important that private enterprises with a will to do something for one's own country rouses itself to action, armed with the technological capabilities and talented human resources for creating the future. NTT and Toyota both have the spirit of lifting Japan. If we can embroil many friends and together are able to build a platform that can support a prosperous life for people, not only would we be able to be useful to society, we'd also contribute to raising the presence of Japan in the world. That's my belief. And along with the last wishes of Sakichi Toyoda, there's also the dreams of the previous president and the manufacturing of a domestically produced car for the masses. A long time ago, cars were once unattainable objects. Toyota has made efforts to make cars become objects that anyone can own and drive. The same can be said for the telephone. Following the days long ago when it wasn't even guaranteed that each home would have its own telephone, today, whether it be in the economically established countries or in countries that are up and coming, we have arrived at an age in which it's a matter of fact that each person has his or her own smartphone or other device. Behind the words "car for the masses" is a desire to achieve mass production, meaning a desire to deliver happiness to all people. Both Toyota and NTT are global companies rooted in Japan. So when I say all people, that means being active around the world. And people are positioned right in the center of the future that both companies envision. People with smiles on their faces, people connected. That is the society of the future for which we're aiming. When I met President Sawada for the first time, I could keenly sense his sincere personality, his caring for people. And I genuinely felt this is a person on whom I know I can depend. Toyota's roots are found in delivering happiness to all people. I believe that is why we are taking this opportunity to form an alliance with NTT. And I believe that having an alliance with NTT also means that Japan will be able to be useful to the world. I humbly request your support for the future that we are striving to achieve. Thank you very much.